Well, Happy New Year, fellow streakers. I cannot believe that it's 2021. Jamie, can you?
No.
And welcome back, by the way.
Thank you. I thought it was poetic that I ended 2020 by actually getting COVID.
You actually got the COVID.
I actually got
Have you noticed that we call it the COVID?
The COVID.
The COVID.
Got the COVID.
The COVID.
Or the big Rona. That's another one we called it.
The COVID Rona?
The COVID Rona.
I thought that, so this is the analogy that I came up with, all right, is that COVID swept our house, okay, or flooded, maybe flooded would be the better word, flooded our house like a flash flood on a dry riverbed. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
It just came and swept our feet right out from under all of us.
Oh, man, did it ever. Now, we have someone very special with us as well, and that is Miss Megan Decker. Megan, it's so good to have you here.
So good to be here.
Oh, we are so excited that you decided to join us from Colorado for the coronavirus camp-in.
Yes.
That's what it's been. We haven't left.
We have not left.
Left.
I've kind of enjoyed it in a
why have
selfish
you-
way.
In a selfish way?
I have had my entire family home. Nobody can leave or go anywhere. Nobody can come visit.
No
It's just
teenage
us.
friends, nothing. It's just us.
We are just completely quarantined.
Quarantined,
It was
100%. So what is the
great.
weirdest symptom that that you had during COVID as far as this is concerned? Because we're somewhat on the tail end of it. I mean, I think we're almost out of the woods. So I see
like
you
what
thinking.
Megan said. So it is weird that you can't taste. Well, my taste only went away for like 2 days. You guys still are struggling a little bit with taste, but mine's kind of coming back. However, I can't smell.
As long as I have
But-
like pure sugar and just put it right on my tongue, or like pure pepper, I can taste great.
But everything else is not there.
I had a very, very cardboardy bowl of Cheerios this morning.
Yeah. We're like, these are crunchy.
I like that, you know, the opportunity to really get a sensation, a heavy sensation on the tongue.
Yeah.
You had those immunity shots, Megan, that you
Yes.
brought with us. What were those?
They're basically just ginger and cayenne pepper with a little bit of orange juice in there.
But they burn.
They burn.
They burn going down.
But they
burn
don't
and
burn
feel
in
good.
your
But they don't-
mouth.
no.
They just burn in your throat, which is
Yeah,
weird.
and a little bit in your chest, but only for a brief time, and
Yeah.
then
I don't
and then
know
you
if
feel
they
better.
actually work, but they make me feel better.
I felt a boost to my immune system.
Oh, totally. At least a boost to the morale. I
Yes.
mean, I felt like really good for drinking
nothing else,
ginger and cayenne and
orange
orange
juice.
Yep.
Yeah, I really felt good about that. I mean, I knew that I was healthy at that point.
It was fun to watch everybody try and chug those down.
Yes, got a little teary-eyed.
So isn't it exciting that we're in 2021 and we're the day after New Year's is where we are right now. And one of the things that we thought we would do is, first of all, New Year's resolutions are something that has been around for a very long time. A resolution is what? What's a resolution? When you resolve to do something, you resolve to what, become that way, do what it is. I mean, just in your minds, what comes to mind as far as a resolution? If you're resolving to do something. Now, we're going to ask our law student here in just a second, but Jamie, what comes to mind for you?
Just to resolve to be better, to do better, I was thinking about this. I'm like, why is it the first of the year that we get all excited? And I guess because you've got this new, fresh slate, and you look ahead and you're like, I'm going to do it this time.
This is the one.
This year, it's happening.
Yeah. Megan,
So-
what do you think?
Yeah, it's more like a commitment to yourself to do something different.
Yeah.
I feel a resolution. You're
A
resolved to do
resolution.
something different.
So one of the things we wanted to talk with you about is Megan is in law school right now, currently at CU Boulder.
Yep,
Is
CU
that
Boulder.
right? CU Boulder. And she is in, I'm going to get it wrong, L1,
Nope,
1L.
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 L1L. What is it?
Number comes first, letter comes second. It's
Okay.
1L.
1L. And what we thought we'd do is talk to her a little bit. Now, she's been maintaining some streaks while you've been in law school, which is interesting because law school, a lot of reading.
Yes.
I mean, how much reading do you do in a day for law school?
In a day.
In a day, just on average.
It depends on the class, but I'd probably say I do at least 75 to 125 pages a day.
75 to 125
Yeah.
pages a day. Now, is that
Wow.
like steady reading, or is that scanning, or is that
No, that's
how's-
steady reading.
Really?
You have to, there's no scanning, at least not for me. I know some of my classmates can scan and still understand the law and understand the case, but in order for me to understand and be able to participate in class and get the law, I have to read the whole thing and take notes and mark it up. So that's reading, and then afterwards doing something called briefing the case, which is basically just summarizing the case in a specific way.
Wow, how interesting. When I look at you decided to go to law school, I mean, obviously mom and I have raised you. And so was it a surprise to you that she
A
wanted to go to
little
law
bit,
school?
because you didn't talk about it much as a kid. It was something that you gravitated more towards after you had left home.
I thought you'd be a fiction writer. That's
yeah,
where
I thought you'd
you
be
were
a
going.
writer.
I've always loved reading fiction, but I've never actually gravitated towards writing it.
Do you remember the
I
story
didn't-
of Brooklyn that you were going to make?
I do, yes.
Yeah. Is that still out there somewhere?
It's in the back of my head. It's percolating.
John Grisham was
John-
a
I was gonna
lawyer
say, yeah.
turned fiction writer.
There you go. So you can do that.
Although her writing right now is a little bit more technical, which is kind of fascinating that that's what got you excited about law school, was writing contracts and the way that you could use the words to perfectly communicate exactly what was in a contract. Is that right?
Yes. It is funny because I love reading fiction. I love science fiction and fantasy, but I love technical writing. If I were to write something, I would prefer to write something technical.
I'm sure that there's a
little
lot of
weird.
people right now going, wow, she likes technical writing.
Maybe not. Yeah. See, you and I are
I
like,
mean,
wow.
Interesting.
But there's probably a lot of people out there that are like, yeah.
yeah.
That's
Technical writing,
right.
because you can get it precise. You can get it right
Yeah,
on.
get it
That's
right
exactly
on.
where it needs to be.
Let's get rid of all this emotional stuff and get it right.
The precision is attractive. It's kind
Yes.
of, Mom, you love to organize things
Yep.
and get it all right. That's how I feel about technical writing, is it's organizing these ideas and they're pretty. when they're
Yes.
organized.
So give us a little bit of when you decided, you know what, I'm going to go to law school. I mean, give us a couple of the highlights of why you decided to go to law school. What was it that, pushed you over the edge?
So I did my undergrad at BYU, Idaho, and I have an undergraduate degree in creative writing with an emphasis in professional and technical writing.
See,
Not
why
all the
I
writings.
thought.
All the writings.
all the writings. I
That's-
cover
I've
all the
heard, though-
writings.
I've heard
I know all
it's-
the Twitters.
I know
and
all the
Googles.
Twitters and Facebooks. It's good to have that well-rounded balance, though, to understand what's different between a creative writing, a fictional writing, a technical writing. Like knowing all of that, I think, helps all of them probably.
Definitely. And they do overlap. I mean, you can't, a lot of what I read is not necessarily technical, it's factual, but the judges are very, very creative in the way that they communicate information. And it's very,
And when you say creative, what do you mean? Through the use of metaphors, through the use of
not
what?
necessarily the use of metaphors, but all of the facts they include in their briefs are going to be pertinent facts to the case. So when you get a long fact pattern, you know, oh, okay, this is a really complicated case because all of these facts somehow play into the judgment. And knowing creative writing and knowing the elements of foreshadowing, it's easier to follow the line of reasoning that the judge follows because I see, oh, he uses facts 1, 2, and 3 to get to this judgment here, but 4, 5, and 6 change what happened in 1, 2, and 3. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, totally makes
So-
sense. All right, so give us the highlight reel. What was it that took you down the path? So you graduated.
I did.
And?
And I knew I would need an internship, and I've always loved Washington, D.C. Dad took us there as a vacations, and I've always loved it. And it always feels like the center of everything. It feels like where everything is happening. So I got an internship at a political think tank in Washington, D.C., and I felt like all of the other interns who were going to be going there were going to be poli-sci majors or people who were really familiar with law. So I rented a book called The Supreme Court's Greatest Hits.
Which I love the title of that, the Supreme Court's Greatest Hits.
do
See,
too.
that goes to show that there's creativity in the writing.
There we
Yes.
go.
Which is just seminal Supreme Court cases. And I read a few of those and just kind of fell in love with the Supreme Court. And then when I got to DC, at one of my jobs, I was their video editing intern. I've led a very eclectic job life. So
Yes.
so a lot of what I did was I'd edit videos and I'd add captions and I'd go out on news shoots with my team. But one of the things that I did was I would edit a podcast called SCOTUS 101. And it was 2 podcasters talking about SCOTUS, or the Supreme Court of the United States. And I just realized, okay, if you want to change the world, law is the place to do it. At least for me, that's how I felt, was if I want to get in on the ground floor of building society, I need to be in law. That's when I decided, okay, I want to go to law school.
That's fascinating. So you finished your internship up in Washington, D.C., and then started to apply for law schools?
No,
Oh,
I'm married, so the fun thing about being married is that there's two of you, and you have to decide how to balance each other's dreams. So my husband wasn't finished with his undergrad yet, so we went back to Idaho and finished his undergrad. And then we were just kind of deciding where we wanted to go with our lives, and we decided, well, we want to move to Colorado and be in Colorado, and we wanted to kind of save up before going into law school. And so I got a job as a contract specialist at a company called Denver Water, which is Denver's public water utility. And what I did was write and negotiate contracts between Denver Water and anybody that we were looking to buy something from.
and this always fascinates me because what you did to prepare for that interview to work for Denver Water as a contract specialist is read an 800-page textbook.
Yes, I didn't have a lot to do. And I felt like my undergrad degree didn't directly translate into a job in procurement. Usually they have business backgrounds and supply chain backgrounds.
I've met a lot of procurement people, and they are very creative as far as how they try to get me down on price. I'll tell you that right now.
Dad doesn't like procurement people.
No, I love procurement
Sales,
people. Procurement.
end person, and in the middle, procurement.
Procurement. Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, so you read an 800-page. Was it 800 pages, or am I hyperbolizing there? Or is it
A
about
little
that much?
bit. It
Yeah.
wasn't quite 800 pages, or at least it was, and I only read like 6 chapters of it instead of the 12 that were there. I read enough to be able to feel like I could converse, and I knew about procurement, and I knew what supply chain management was, and to be able to have an intelligent conversation about it and not go to the interview and just make a complete fool of myself. And so, but I told them, I made sure I told them, like, to prepare for this interview, I read this book and I read this book. And I have a couple ideas of how to make procurement better. And I think that's what got me the job.
Is because of your attitude as far as looking into it and striving diligently to learn about what it was that you were going to do before you got there.
Yes. So,
I love this. It reminds me of when we were talking to Craig Christensen, and we were I can't remember the question we asked him. Do you remember? And he was like, read. You should just read. I think I asked him
we asked him what made the difference. Remember, he said he was striving towards mediocrity?
Yes.
And let's just be mediocre all our lives. We all progress toward mediocrity. This is what Craig Christensen
He was
would
talking
say.
about how easy it is to become comfortable with being mediocre.
Yeah.
Instead of continuing to push yourself. And we asked him.
And he said he was the first lab rat. He was the first one that said, look, I have the problem. What is it that I need to do? And so we asked him, what was it that you did to get over that hump?
And that's when he said, I read. So I love that for you, Megan, every answer to any question that you've asked or anything that you've been like, I don't feel like I know what I'm doing here. Your answer has been, well, let's read a book. Let's find a book and read about it.
it was my first instinct. I'm sure someone somewhere has written a book on this.
There's a groundbreaking new book.
Just a little quote from one of our favorite movies.
Yes, it is.
What about
Absolutely.
Bob? We say that all the time.
And what is interesting is baby steps. I mean, streaking is all about the laughably simple.
That's
I
true.
mean, that's what it's
We've
about.
patterned our life after What About Bob?
Yes. When you look at law school now and the heavy workload that you have and everything else, you knew that we were writing streaking. You helped us edit it. You helped us edit it while you were in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
You edited the chapter on how to end a streak.
I edited the whole book.
Yeah, she did the whole book. Nice try. She wrote some of the chapter on how
Is that
to
what
end
I
a
was trying to
streak.
say?
Yeah, she added a lot to that chapter.
That's right. Because I didn't have that chapter. Mom didn't have that chapter. And so you said, well, I'll take it on and see what I could do with it.
You guys had talked about it. You talked about, because I used things that you'd talked about on how to end a streak. I used Mom's letter writing streak to Rose on how to end a streak. And then I think there was one other one, but I can't remember it now.
Right.
But I used everything that you
Right.
talked about.
So as our editor, our first editor that came through, and then over at page 2 we had Kendra, who was our
Professional
professional editor.
Yes.
You weren't
She
quite there
definitely
yet.
brings it up a notch.
Kendra is absolutely phenomenal. Loved working with Kendra and hope to be working with her again on the next book, whatever the next book might be. What, while you were reading that, did you start streaks then, or did you start streaks a little bit later on, or give us a little bit of your streaking journey?
I didn't start streaking until after the book came out.
Okay.
So I read the book when we were at Breckenridge this summer, and that's when I started streaking.
And what kind of, we've talked about it for a while. What kind of helped you be like, okay, I want to
I
actually
think
try
people
this?
are out there going, she's their child and she didn't start streaking until after
Till
the
reading
book
the
was
book.
published.
It's a pretty, but that's really what most people say.
Is
to
that
be
it's after
honest.
they read the book. If you have read the book and you got out of it something, then give it to a friend. I mean, this is one of the things that I've seen about streaking is it starts slow, but it is a movement, and have people join you in this movement. We've got some really neat stuff coming up in our podcasts about how you found that really great article
We're gonna talk
on
about
New Year's
that in the next
resolutions.
one.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
talk about that on the next one. But it is something that happens when you read the book. And maybe you can describe it for yourself because you grew up, I mean,
It's not like we hadn't been talking about it, and it's not like you
didn't
hadn't
edit it.
the book as it was going.
So what
but
happened?
I think it's a lot of the same thing that happened to a lot of people when they read the book, is that the book brings it all together and coalesces all of this information that you guys have been gathering and the principles that you've been trying out and testing into one easy to read and easy to digest form. Mm-hmm. And that really helped me. And it also took me a while to decide what I wanted to start streaking. I think an important part of streaking is recognizing that you aren't where you want to be. And I was already kind of going towards law school. I kept up a pretty regular exercise routine. So there wasn't a lot immediately that came to mind that I was like, I'm not what I want to be here. So I don't know. I felt pretty good about myself.
which is good.
You were doing what you wanted to
Which
be doing.
honestly is one of the reasons why I wanted to ask you about this, because you are doing the things that will help you improve and get better. I mean, you are in law school. You're transitioning from who you are now to being a lawyer. And that 3 years is a significant 3 years. However, you seem to want to keep a couple of streaks alive.
Yes.
How come, though? I mean, you've got all the necessary things already in place. What is it about streaking that you've decided, you know what, I am going to do streaking for a couple of things?
Well, so as I started to think about, okay, who am I and who do I want to be, there were a few areas where I thought I could take it up a level here. And one of them is, it's really simple. I don't know why we feel the need to say that every
Because
time we talk about our streak.
It is the
Because
most
it's-
beautiful thing in the world. That's why
it's
we call
laughable.
it laughably simple.
Yep.
Yeah, is that I wanted to be more hydrated. I've suffered with acne pretty much my entire adolescent life and into my adult life. I'm 26 now. I still have it. I feel like it keeps me young because only teenagers have acne. But
There's a silver lining.
yeah.
I'm still a kid. I have acne.
But I've read that one of the things that really, really helps your skin is staying really hydrated. And so I thought, okay, I can set a streak around drinking 1 glass of water a day. And I have my one reusable water bottle that is a 32-ounce water bottle, that the streak is just to drink a glass of water a day. But what I try to do is I try to drain that water bottle at least once.
Yeah.
And that way I get 32 ounces of water daily. And I think I've noticed a difference. I mean, and I feel better about myself and I feel more hydrated. I feel like I have more energy. At least I did before I
Before
got COVID.
Before COVID.
Before COVID.
Two things stand out to me. One is that we are in the month of health and wellness. I mean, that's the theme that we're going to have for this month
For
is health and
January's
wellness.
health and wellness, yep.
And looking at it and saying, being hydrated is something that will never become a habit.
I
I
don't
mean,
think
I'm
so.
pausing right there to see if I get any reaction on that.
It's become a habit to fill up my water bottle in the morning.
Oh, okay.
I get thirsty, really thirsty in the morning. So I go over and I fill up my water bottle or I take a drink. But I still have to remind myself, oh, where's my water bottle? Have I drained my water bottle yet today?
Right. Right.
Having it be
So
something conscious.
speaking of health and wellness, I think health and wellness and growth is always a conscious activity, something that we always need to look at to do consciously in order to accomplish it. And that's what streaking is about, is doing the thing consciously. So you have that, and you've noticed you feel better about yourself. Do you feel better about yourself mentally because you're fulfilling a commitment, or is it because you feel physically better, or is it both?
It's both. It's definitely both. I feel mentally better because I like looking at my streak and being like, yeah, I drink water, which is definitely laughably
And how many days
simple.
have you been doing that?
I've been doing it 15 days now. It hasn't been very long. I had a big streak and then I have a real problem recording them. And so I lost it. And
I
it's
was gonna
also
say
because
you'd been doing it longer than
Yeah,
15
I was going to
days.
say
it
it's longer than
longer.
15
And
days.
it was
but
like
you
at
just
200 days.
okay.
And then
Okay.
and then it died for a lot of reasons. One, it was like finals week in law school. Two, I got a new phone and I couldn't remember my login to the streaking app. So,
Which we've corrected that on the next one.
We
We've
did
got the
correct
forgot your
that.
password thing, so we apologize about that.
so I thought, oh, fine, I'll just start them over. So,
But
it was longer.
But I love that part of what kept you wanting to start over was that you'd been doing it for 200 days. And when you've been doing something that long, you do start to recognize, at least I feel like I start to recognize that I'm like, okay, I like doing this. I like having this being a part of what I am. And then also recognizing that even though you'd been doing it for 200 days, if you weren't consciously still deciding to do it, it would stop,
Yeah.
which is frustrating and amazing, but also empowering to recognize that it's like, okay, this is something I will have to consciously choose to do, but I can do it. And by just making it a small glass of water as the streak, I can finish that each day. But it's also motivating to be successful and be like, okay, I'm drinking water and I want to keep this. I want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
Yep.
So other streaks that you have in law school, and would you recommend streaking for people that are in something as high demanding as law school and other things?
Definitely. It feels like I've described it before as a lifeline during law school because law school is all consuming. It will take whatever time you give it.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter if you get your reading done. It doesn't matter if you have your briefs done. There's always more to study. And so having a streak around, this one sounds kind of funny, reading 1 page a day. Because I'm already doing
you
that.
already
but
reading?
that's like a future streak when I know
You're setting it
I'm
for
going to
right
be
now.
busy later on down the line. I'll have a streak that will keep me reading. And then I do one random set of exercises a day. And that one's important to me because I naturally gravitate towards running. I love running, all the music. But I want to branch out into like weightlifting and
So
other
this lets
types
you
of
do
exercise.
other stuff as
Yeah,
well.
so it's
Megan,
I
you
love
are so
that.
wonderful. We'd like to thank everyone, welcome everyone. That'll be on the next one. Thank everyone for being here with us. Megan, especially you. Health and wellness this time around, and I think it was appropriate that we started off with what you said.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, there's some really neat stuff that we've got on the horizon. So until next time, if you want to get a hold of us, Jeffrey at JEFFERY at streakingmastery.com.
Or Jamie, JAMI at streakingmastery.com.
Until next time, keep streaking.
Worth living among the rush. Do one push up, become a better you. It's the small and simple things that make you grow into what you're hoping. You're in a hurry, don't even worry. It's too simple not to do. It's the little things that